like to please give a warm hand for the team that we have right now, which is Sarinka Yanga and Chris Collins. Please give them a big round. And thank you for Sarinka for stepping in there. Really appreciate it. The point about this particular project is to help clubs and officers to get experience of contests so that when you run your contest, you have a much better chance of completing it smoothly, successfully, and with a smile on your face. Because ultimately, if it's not fun, you may as well not bother doing it. But trust me, it is fun, because what you do is you enable others to succeed, to speak better and to lead better by running these contests. And you yourself will actually gain a lot from it by running the contests. In terms of a couple of things on here, I'm going to start off with a question. Sarinka, are we good to close the vote now, or should we carry on for another 30 seconds? Okay, brilliant. We've stopped. Thank you very much for everybody. And one of the key things on here is that I'm going to share the results with everybody on the poll. As you can see, lots of people voted. And in the first question, why do we run a contest? By far the winner was, I want our members to develop and learn speaking skills and techniques. Yes, absolutely. And some of the others really valid as well. Only a few of you put down, my division director told me to, all right, and none of the above. Okay, no problem. Now, in terms of the other questions that we have, question 2, what does contest organizer do is, yes, appoint the contest chair and Zoom master, but also, for example, publicize the event, set the date and location and time of the event, and so on as well. That's what the contest organizer does, and you'll hear from Binal in a few minutes. What does a contest chair do? Well, brief the contestants. Yes, that's biggest vote on there, but also the chief judge can actually, the contest chair, appoint a chief judge and Zoom master. Probably not. Yes, the contest chair would actually run the speaking order and a few other things as well, which we'll hear from Chris in a few minutes. What does a chief judge do? Brief the judges, absolutely. Integrity of the contest, yes, absolutely. But also, for example, yeah, I think that's pretty much straightforward on there. That's fine. What does a Zoom master do? Pause the contest in case of a contestant having an audio problem. No, that would be the chief judge. Okay, so but I'll be happy to take questions on that later on, or Sarinka will, or Garod will as well. All right, so that's really important to look at that. Integrity of the contest, up to the chief judge, really. So you get the idea, all right? So let me stop sharing on that. Let me share with you one question, one thing that I want to share with you today. Why do we run a contest? I want you to write down in the chat why we run the contest. Give me your ideas. I really want to know. Why do we run the contest? I'm waiting for a few things to come up. Is it because our division director or area director told us to? Is it because? Well, we've already asked it on the poll. Want our members to learn and grow? Absolutely. Nice goal for the members, challenge members, good speakers in the club, develop further, etc. Add a little bit of competition. Absolutely. Love that, Tanya. Damien, give members more experience. Absolutely. Martin, develop speaking and leading skills. We've got a lot of people asking, allow our speakers to get experience outside the club and learn. Good leadership opportunities from Brenda. Yeah, absolutely. Really, really good. And now, in terms of what I think it's for, yes, I think of all of those things, but I think there's one really important thing that I want you to take away today. In my opinion, the contests are really useful and are there to help us in our work and in our businesses. Why? because we are judged in contests. When we do speeches, we get evaluations, and the evaluations are very supportive. They want to help you, help you and help you grow. Judging is saying yes to you, no to you. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the fact that you didn't win your contest? Well, it's like at work. At work or in your business, you're chasing clients, somebody's going to be chosen. You're under pressure. You're under pressure at work to perform at a certain standard. You may not be given feedback. You just get told, yes, you got the promotion, or no, you don't. And this contest will help you prepare mentally and also in other ways for real life outside of work. It's my great belief that Toastmasters helps us outside of Toastmasters. So have a think about that. Now, we're going to get our first session going now. We're going to get a view of the contest the contest organizer. And I'd like to give a very warm welcome for the one and only Binal Sojani.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. I'm actually coming to you now from my phone, so I'm not going to be able to share my beautiful slides, but never mind. I'm going to keep the show on the road, which is what you need to do. So I'm going to paint a picture. Contest organizer, you are the integral part in this. We are
Okay, have we lost Binal again? All right, so let me just do. Okay, so in terms of what Binal is going to start off with, hopefully I'm starting off the right track. She's going to talk about the contest chair, the contest organizer being the person in charge of the whole show. And the first steps that you would do is to actually appoint a chief judge, a contest chair, and a Zoom master. If you are a contest organizer, you should not be a contest chair, because a contest chair is there on the sideline having to deal with any issues and any problems that are going to happen during the contest. You can't be the contest chair at the time. You also can't be the chief judge at the time, really, even in club contests. So have a think about that. Find somebody who is going to be able to do that. I've got a question from Tanya. Is a contest organizer the same as the MC of the event? Yes, absolutely, it can be, as long as it's not the same as a contest chair. Yes, absolutely. However, if you have the number of people in the room that can help you, then I would even have a separate MC. Again, it may be challenging for you in your clubs, but one of the ways to get around having lack of numbers in a club contest, for example, work with your clubs in your area, help each other out. Okay, in terms of whether it's judging, whether it's being a ballot counter, whether it's being, taking on any of the roles, help your fellow clubs out in your area. Talk to each other, because that way each club can get their contest done. One of the things the organizer has to do is to ensure that the three people that they appoint, the Zoom master, the contest chair, and the chief judge, have everything they need. Now, normally, when we're in our clubs in our normal locations, for example, for me, it's Manchester Metropolitan University, we need to make sure that the room is available, that it's booked, that we have refreshments, where all of those kind of things, those logistics. Well, the contest organizer has to think about all of the logistics as well, because it's online. You think, oh, it's just dead easy, we just get a Zoom room, right? It's a little bit more complicated than that, because also they themselves make sure that those three roles that they appoint, that they are thinking about online. And for example, we saw that Binal got disconnected. By the way, that was choreographed as well. When she got disconnected, what happened? Shall we sit around for 20 minutes until she comes back on? Somebody has to step in seamlessly. When a timer goes down, the backup timer needs to step in. If a contest chair goes down, the backup contest chair steps in. Okay, you get the idea. You have to have the ability to get people to step in when somebody is having problems connecting. The only people you can't really have backups for are, anybody tell me? Type in the chat. Who can't you really have backups for? Yes, Tanya, speakers. Contestants, absolutely. So in terms of what we do with this, does anybody have any questions in terms of what this contest organizer does, this all-encompassing role? Please write it in the chat, okay? It's like if you're a conference director at a conference, well, you kind of make sure that everybody has got everything that they need, and that everything goes well and would deal with any issues. Can they be the Zoom organizer or the Zoom Zoom host? In a way, perhaps they can. Carol, thanks for the question. Perhaps they can in a club competition if you don't have anybody else. But remember, the Zoom master is also busy moving people in and out of breakout rooms as well sometimes. So just bear that in mind. But if you can find somebody else, great. Or the Zoom master, as long as they can do their job and deal with any other issues, that's great. But it is challenging. I mean, I've done both. It is challenging to do both roles like that. Can the organizer compete too? Absolutely not, Claire. Thank you for the question. Great question. Absolutely not. Elizabeth, I was asking, can it be a team of people? Yes, but ultimately, one person's got to make a decision. Who is that one person? That one person can delegate lots of things, but who is that one person, that organizer, the director, as it were? Again, Pei, I was asking, can it be a team? Yes, collaboration is great, but in my humble opinion, you should always have one person who then makes a final call. Like an event manager, Vincent. Yeah, absolutely. Tanya's asking, as we're online, want standardization, do they get eligibility forms for both the contestants and the judges? I would say that you would leave the contest chair and the chief judge to do those two roles. Okay, I really do, because the events manager or the event organizer or the contest organizer has already got a lot of things that they need to deal with beforehand and on the day. Yeah, so Daniel's got a point about, oddly enough, data the context often been our club's executive committee. Yeah, absolutely. But ultimately, if there is a decision to be made quickly, and you have seconds to make it, who makes it? One person has to be responsible. Okay, so we've got a lot of questions on there about the organizer role, and it's not the one that we're used to really, but the way I look at it is, isn't the VP responsible for running the contest in the club? Isn't that who the organizer is in your club? Well, it was in mine. Val's shaking her head. So Carol shaking her head. Okay, maybe it's somebody different. Maybe it's the president, or maybe no. But what I mean by responsible, the VP, part of the VP role is to make sure that contests run. Okay, so but they don't necessarily they're not necessarily the ones who are running it, but they make sure it runs. They hand it over to somebody else. Okay, so look, I believe that's enough for the. Carol saying our VP has just left to go to Canada. Excellent. I hope, I don't know whether they're going to have to self-isolate, but good luck to them. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to move on with our next speaker, our next presenter. Talking about the contest chair, I'd like you to give a warm welcome for Chris Collins.
Thank you, Nick. So I'm going to present the contest chair and what they get up to as part of this initiative. So the contest chair is essentially like the TV host. You're going to be presenting the contest on the day, and in doing so, you're going to be collaborating with and introducing the contestants, the speakers, and moving people in and out of their various roles on the day. Prior to the actual contest, there's quite a lot of organization to be done, and I'd recommend you get as much as you can done prior to the contest, just to take the pressure off that day. So one of the first things you'll do is, obviously, if it's an evaluation contest, find a test speaker, find their name, speech details, and obviously have a backup. It's very important when you're in a Zoom context to have a backup in case of internet issues or speaker unavailability. You're going to make contact with the contestants to obviously do the paperwork, get the judging criteria to them so they understand how their speech or their individual competition is going to be judged. And you can get their eligibility and originality forms out of the way as well. So in the week prior, you're going to be doing the paperwork. You have a contestant briefing as well. It's probably worth doing that in a couple of days before the contest, just to ensure that everybody understands how the contest is going to be run. You'll need to create a speaking order as well, so that your contestants will be drawn by lots, so that you have a running order for the day. Obviously, you don't attach that to the agenda when you're doing your PR for your contest, but you can mention the contestants on the agenda, but not necessarily the order they're going to be speaking in. You're going to be collaborating with your contest organizer and your chief judge to make sure that everybody's happy and that everybody's up to speed with the latest edition of the contest rulebook, so that all of the applicable rules can be brought to bear. You'll need to discuss with the chief judge how they plan to collect votes and what they're going to use as a backup. So you have some choices to make here in terms of whether you're going to use email, Zoom chat, a WhatsApp group, or however you're going to coordinate on the day in collecting the votes from the judges to the chief judge. Obviously, you can prepare your certificates of participation the week before as well, once you have your list of contestants. So getting as much of this out of the way beforehand is definitely a good way to go. It definitely takes pressure off the day. On the day of the contest itself, your goal is before the contest is going to be ensuring that all of your contests are available and that they have any IT or Zoom issues dealt with. So you'll be working with your Zoom masters to make sure that everybody is comfortable moving in and out of breakout rooms, dealing with any mop-up briefings, and ensuring that everybody can both hear and see other contestants in the meeting room before the contest begins, and try and deal with any of the IT issues or device issues that people are having prior to the contest beginning. Once the contest begins, it's pretty much business as usual. You'll be essentially the MC for the contest, and you'll be presenting the contestants as they go through the contest. Finally, timers are obviously important. You need to make sure that your contestant has visibility on the timer, that you can hear and see the contestant, that they can see the timer, they've pinned the timer, and you can confirm that they can both hear and see you within the room, and that any IT issues or any interruptions are dealt with before the speaker begins their presentation. So does anybody have any questions with regards to any of that? You can add them to the chat. And we'll take some questions.
We've got a question, Chris. The recommendations as to how to have the timer seen. And do you have something on that, or would you like me to take that?
I would say pin the timer if you can. So obviously on your screen you can pin the timer. The Zoom master will typically spotlight the presenter during a contest. Again, you can work with your Zoom master to do that. It's an option for you. But even when you are a contestant and you're presenting, you have the option to pin the timer so that it's always visible on your screen, and you can make sure that you're paying attention to the timer as they go. Did you have anything else to add to that, Nick?
Yeah, I think it really depends on whether the contestants whether the audience in the room actually have their videos off. Because one of the things that we would usually recommend nowadays is to have the audience stopping their videos. So the only people who have their video open is the contestant, the timer, and the contest chair. Now, if, for example, if we do that, it'll be very clear, and we're going to try this out later on actually, is so that you will, no matter whether you see it watching in gallery view or speaker view, you'll always be able to see your timer. And also, if, for example, the timer goes down and then the backup timer puts on their light, you'll be able to see them as well, because they're only ever going to be 3 or 4 windows showing the cameras. So that's a really good way to do it. And you shouldn't, unless you're using a mobile phone or a tablet, you should be able to see the timer on your screen. We have another question. Getting people's names right, spelling, pronunciation. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that goes without saying in terms of any competition, whether it's online or offline. And that's what contest chair needs to do, is to practice the names. Nowadays, because if they're not in the same room as them, and one of the ways in which I've been in online clubs for many years. So what we do is actually say, I have to say my name sometimes, and I get somebody else to say their name. Send it by WhatsApp, record your name and send it by WhatsApp to the contest chair so that the pronunciation is going to be better. Okay, so one of the questions that we got from Margaret, for example, is if a speaker's connection is lost during a speech, what do you do, or who is responsible for sorting this? Now, one of the things I alluded to earlier was in the poll that you did. The only person who can stop a speaker or stop the timer or stop the contest as when it's underway is actually the chief judge. The contest chair does not do that now in the online element, because the contest chair may not be aware that the speaker has a problem, or the contest, what happens is that if, for example, I'm speaking and suddenly my voice goes, maybe it's at my end where nobody can hear, or maybe it's at your end where only you cannot hear. So very quickly, what the chief judge does is on the WhatsApp group, types in audio ? If somebody says it's good, then that means it's the chief judge's connection. If somebody says bad, then the chief judge knows that the speaker is not coming across to anybody, not just to them. And at that point, after a certain period of time, the chief judge has got to go stop the timer, please take a pause, try and connect with the speaker again, give them a little bit of time to reset themselves, and then restart the contest. Now, can anybody tell me, in terms of the online contest, do they get any more time?
I believe the rule book states you're allowed an additional 30 seconds in case of audio issues or video issues.
Right, except that if the red light is already on, they're not. Okay, so again, read the rules. Now, in terms of the rules, you have the rule book. You also have the online exception document. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to send everybody an email who attended today with a link to this information, with a link to where to download these documents from. Have a look at them, have a read of them. In your club contests, if you want to do it a particular way, it's your call, it's up to you. But this, a lot of this stuff has been done before and has been developed over a period of, a few months, when contests have been taking place not only at club level, but all the way up to district and also now convention level. So have a think about it, how you run your contests. For example, when I managed the district contest, we basically had a rule whereby if we have to stop a speaker once, we let them go on, they have an extra 30 seconds. If we have to stop them again, let them go on. They don't get an extra 30 seconds on top of that. But if we stop them for the third time, the chief judge will then take them out of the competition, because it's not fair for them, or, there's obviously an issue with their sound. They're not going to do themselves justice. It's better to put them out of their misery in terms of that. This is where a chief judge needs to earn the money as a strong judge, okay? But this is really important. In the bricks and mortar club, in your physical clubs, the contest chair normally would do that. In this case, it's the chief judge. Tanya's got a question. What are the rules on pre-recording speeches? Absolutely not. It can't be pre-recorded. Speaker, depends on district decision. Okay, yeah, so Daniel's got a good suggestion. Hiding non-video participants help focus the contest speaker.
Nick,
so
can I
that's fine
just
as
say,
well.
unless
It's a matter of trying things out. Go ahead, Binon. Go ahead, Binon. Okay, maybe Binon's not there.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Tanya,
you're allowed to do for online clubs.
We are allowed to do what? Okay, I'm sorry, Binon, we can't hear you.
I think what she was saying is that if you're an online club, you can do it.
Sorry, we can do what?
Pre-record.
Not in my online clubs, you can't. I belong to a number of online clubs, and we deliver live, but then we take a recording. And for example, there is a video speech contest that we send to Toastmasters International every year by the end of March, and that is recorded as they deliver live, and then the recording is sent to Toastmasters International. Tanya, you had a question about the recording. You thought that the speeches were pre-recorded. Yeah, that's the international convention, and what they did was, whatever they did, you're not going to translate down onto the world, onto your club level, to be honest. We wouldn't do that at district level or any other level that we are working on. Okay, so I'm looking at conscious of time. I would like to move on to the next section, which is Chief Judge. I'd like to welcome, actually very proud of this young man. He was District Chief Judge in one of the contests in May. Please give a very warm hand for Garode Murphy.
Thank you very much, Nick. What goes into being a Chief Judge? First of all, can you put your hands up? Who has been a judge in a contest up to now? And who has actually played the role of Chief Judge at this stage? Okay, just to give me an idea. Okay, well, with the role, planning and preparation is very, very important in advance of running the online contest. Now, Chief Judge covers a lot of the roles, in fact, nearly all the roles in a contest except for contestants. So you're talking about the judges, the counters, the timers, the sergeant at arms, and you're also responsible for the tiebreaker judge. Once you have established your roles for the contest, it's very important, as mentioned earlier, to send out all the relevant forms to each role player. So for judges, you're going to send out the judge's eligibility form. You're going to send out the ballot sheet for them to judge, and also send them a copy of the Toastmasters International rulebook. For the timers, you're going to send them the timing sheet, again the rulebook, and also if you plan on using a virtual background, you can give instructions on how to set that up in Zoom. For the ballot counters, you can describe the process of how you're actually going to work the event on the day and count, and also include the ballot form. The only person that you're going to privately deal with is your tiebreaker judge. So that is going to be a one-to-one communication at all times among yourself and the tiebreaker. Now, as Nick mentioned earlier, if you plan in advance that in case some of these role players experience technical difficulty, it's very important that, number one, you have a backup chief judge, and number two, you have a backup tiebreaker judge. Also, it's not a bad idea if you have extra judges for your club contest. Now, you can get away with a minimum of 3, but in case on the day that something goes wrong, I would maybe try have 5 judges available. So even if one drops off, that you have a good quorum of judges, voting judges. There's two ways to carry out the briefing, and my preferred method is to brief in advance of the contest. So basically send out a Zoom link in advance, a briefing that you're going to brief the judges, timers, counters, sergeant at arms. This works really well because on the day you don't have to plan this in the very same event, and that judges are briefed coming in. Now you can send the judges to a breakout room if you like, so that you can answer any final questions they may have, but it works extremely well to plan in advance. Also, if you're in, I would suggest in that briefing meeting that you invite the Zoom masters and also the contest chair. In the event that the contest chair has already made the draw for the speaking order, the judges will know the speaking order going into the contest, so they can actually have their judges' ballot sheet marked up and have the correct speaking, or not marked up, but have the contestants in the correct order, and they're ready to go as well. Just on the briefing side of things, there aren't too many differences between a normal briefing and an online briefing, but again, it's worth noting that you have to tell the judges that they're not judging on the sound and video quality, they're judging on the performance. A chief judge, as Nick said, a chief judge can call a halt to the actual contest if she finds that the sound quality of a contestant is bad, or the quality of the stream is bad in general on Zoom. The chief judge can call a halt until a resolution is found to the issue. Also, the chief judge will handle protests, and protests can be they're handled in the very same way that the contest chair can receive the protest or the chief judge, and in that event, the Zoom master will move the judges all out to a breakout room where they will discuss the issue. The chief judge will bring in a contestant if there is an issue and establish their case. And again, like a maximum or a bigger quota of the judges have to vote in favor of a disqualification, otherwise that contestant is okay. Again, the tiebreaker will be briefed separately outside, and again, it's up to you to establish the form of communication with that person and also with a backup tiebreaker. As regards communication, it's up to the chief judge to establish whether it be email, text, or WhatsApp as to how they will receive the judges' votes. Now, what I suggest is a group with the chief judge, backup chief judge, the ballot counters, and each individual voting judge. So if it was a case of you have 5 judges voting, you'd have 5 WhatsApp groups. And the bonus there is that as votes come in, that everyone can tally the outcomes. The same with the timers. You can have a timers group where you could ask the timers to take a picture of the times and put them up in the WhatsApp group where you can establish if the speaker is within time or not. Essentially, that's how the form of communication would work between your judges and your team players. It's very, very important that you have a good line of communication with the contest chair as well, and work out once the outcome is reached, who is going to actually announce the results. So some prefer a contest chair, or some contest chair like to give it themselves. Other times they will ask the chief judge to come on screen and deliver the results. I think that about covers the basics. One thing that I would say is that coming in a club contest, and by experience, that not everybody has access to a printer. So I think be a little bit lenient that if people can't fill in their eligibility forms or by a printed version, that you would accept, say, a digital version, a PDF form, or if they would like to give a verbal written email to say that they're eligible, I would also accept that. And very same with the ballot, that they can take a photograph of the bottom, or in a WhatsApp, just go 1, 2, 3. So with 1, first place name, 2, second place name, and third place name. Just for those that, again, mightn't have access to the digital versions or not be familiar with the technology. I hope I've covered enough there to cover quite a lot of the chief judge's role on the online contest. So back to you, Nick. Or if there's any Q&A, I look forward to the questions.
Sure. Thanks very much, Garode. Thank you for that. Just a couple of questions I'm going to pull out of the chat, actually. Tanya asked about the using Doodle and so on, some sort of other apps as well. I mean, I think that at a club level, you should do whatever works for you, in my humble opinion, within reason. I think that it has to be auditable where possible. At any other level, for example, area directors will probably be recommending that they have some sort of, either by email or by WhatsApp, because they are more secure. I think that, for example, somebody was asking about numbers of people that you need to actually run the contest. And yes, absolutely, use people around you. Don't forget, right now, you can have anybody around the world be a judge for you as long as they're qualified, or anybody in the world be a ballot counter or even a timer for you. So you don't have to just be in your own local area. You are on the internet.
Yeah, there's never been a better time to seek help, because the online world has made TI a very small, or a closer knit community. And just from the first point, the most important thing in running the online events are communication. Whatever form you decide on, as long as it works during the contest and for voting, and that would be up to the chief judge to establish.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we are going to take more questions at the end of these sessions. Okay. So thanks very much, everybody. Now, I'd like to welcome our fourth role player today. Please welcome, talking about being a Zoom master, please welcome Sarinka Jenga.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you to all the previous presenters. You were all great. And now I am going to try to give you some tips about being the Zoom master. I'm a member of Clyde Communicators in Glasgow, Scotland, and also a member of a club in a tiny island in the Caribbean, Ararat Toastmasters Club in Curacao. And lately I've become a member of an online club in order to experience this new normal. Fellow Toastmasters, the Zoom master managed the virtual meeting. The Zoom master is like a producer. So you have the technology to support you. Don't be afraid play with it, do as much as you can in your own environment, and always ask questions. So today I'm hoping to cover what a Zoom Master does. The Zoom Master, first of all, plans, execute, debrief, and eventually, if there is time left, I can deal with your questions and hopefully can answer them. So, fellow Toastmasters, while you are the Zoom Master, as just said, we are preparing the meeting. So you meet with the event organizer to manage their expectations, very important. Learn to say no. Event managers can be demanding, creative, and they have loads of brilliant ideas, but sometimes it doesn't fit in a Zoom and virtual world. Just talk with them and tell them if something is not possible beforehand. You determine your plan of action before the event and you try to stick to it. Why do I say try to stick to it? Because it's not written in stone. But don't throw your plan out of the window at the start of the event. Try to stick to it. I'm also going to talk about what you need to do before the contest, during the contest, and after the contest. Now, you're going to speak with the event organizer. You're going to first of all determine with him or her what type of contest, because depending on what type of contest, you may need to arrange the room differently. For humorous speech contest and international speech contest, it's the same room as in our regular meeting. People are coming in, the contest is happening, you have your role takers, end of story. It's when we are having the table topic contest and the evaluation contest, it becomes fun. Because then you need to bring in breakout rooms in order to accommodate this contest. If you're having your briefing, as we are used to in our normal speech contest, you have the judges briefing and the contestants briefing beforehand, and you want to incorporate that in your contest, for that you also may need breakout rooms before the start of your contest. Furthermore, you're going to also discuss with the event manager or organizer what's the expected attendance, how they're going to register, if they're wanting people to register beforehand, or you're just having people showing up on the day. You're also having the list of role takers clear, so you're getting this information also for your meeting organizer. And as Droid just mentioned, WhatsApp groups or any type of groups so you can stay in touch with each other. Who's staying in touch with each other? The Zoom Master is creating a group with the event organizer, the chief judge, the contest chair, and the sergeant at arms. Because that's the pool of connection that the Zoom Master requires to be in touch with the, let's say, chief role players on the day. Suggestions that I can give for this prep to do the virtual meeting: backup role takers. The Zoom Master is to be aware who are the backup role takers. Maybe she needs to upgrade them on the fly, like happened with our team member today, Binal. She had some issues, so the Zoom Master needs to know who's stepping in for her, so he or she can make him or her co-host if necessary. Have your presentation ready and open on your screen if you, for instance, want to present PDF certificates to participants. And if you're presenting anything, try to share it with a person or send it by email after the contest. That's just a couple of suggestions. So that's Zoom Master meeting up with the event manager. You have an idea of what's going to happen. You're preparing your meeting, so you're going now back into your own room and you're going to prepare your plan of action, your POA. So you know the type of contest, and you're planning, or you're trying to plan, a dry run contest with the officials and the contestants. Why? It takes up more time, but it's just to make sure that everybody knows their role. Some people are already very keen on how to use the platform, but others may want to get some more certainty on how to press the buttons on their devices. You're going to plan if you're going to use waiting room. Very good to have waiting room because you may have funny people coming in, so you can see them beforehand. And when the contest is happening, you can keep people in the waiting room, and during the 1 minute of break between contestants, you can have the person walking in. Determine also in your plan of action beforehand how you're going to rename people, and not on the day and on the spot. Have a clear plan in hand. Also about profile pictures. As we know, we want people to turn off their video during the contest as suggested by Toastmasters International. It's just a suggestion. So if clubs want to keep their camera on, that's fine. If you're turning off camera, do you want people to have a profile pic? Don't have a profile pic? Those are things that you need to discuss beforehand with the event planner or the event organizer. Make sure judges and participants, counters, timers know how they are transported to the breakout room. And equally, perhaps even more important, how they're coming back from the breakout room to the main room. Because I have to say here, it's imperative to know that the Zoom master is playing with the tools and the keyboard here, taking people out of the main room to the breakout room. However, we can't bring them back to the main room. So that comes the sergeant at arms role. The sergeant at arms will be in the breakout room with the contestants, and he or she will be telling these people how to move back to the main room without leaving the meeting. Always have a backup device if you are the Zoom master. Anything can go wrong. And after the contest, you can do a quick debrief workshop with the event organizer to see if there are any key learning points. So that was your plan of action. You have your plan of action ready. Now you're eagerly waiting for the contest to start. Yeehaw! Now, before the start of the contest, make sure you are on time. If you can, 1 hour before the contest start, you're checking if you have the latest version of Zoom on your device. Why am I saying this? Now, this has become since March a very fast changing environment, and so is Zoom. You may think, oh, I have the latest version of the application on my computer, and bam, the night before, Zoom has a new update. So always check if you have the latest version on your Zoom, on your computer, phone, whatever device you're using. Check the account settings before the start of the contest. Last week, I was helping out with a contest in my area. I was backup Zoom master, so people can start practicing to take this role. Now, luckily we were on time. Breakout room was not a feature on the screen. So we had to close down the meeting, go back in the settings on www.zoom.us, enable breakout room, and relaunch the meeting. So it's imperative that you check your account settings before start of the contest to make sure everything is in order. And then you can open your meeting, allow everybody to come in, and follow your plan of action. Of course, there will be hiccups that you need to change plan on the fly, but that's another story. Then when the contest starts, you can relax, sit back, but keeping an eye on your screen. You're managing the main room during the contest. You're muting people, you're turning off their video, and you're allowing screen sharing if any participants needs to share their screen. You cannot unmute people, and you cannot start their video. All you can do is having the contest chair asking people to unmute themselves or restart their video, so we don't break into people's privacy. And you are also liaising with the organizers during the contest. Anything goes wrong, you have your phone and they will be WhatsApping you. People may be screaming in the WhatsApp. Keep an eye on it or have it on your computer so you can see the messages coming through. And you're managing the breakout rooms. So you're creating them after the meeting has started. You allocate people. Please, it's only when people need to move to breakout rooms that you're going to open these breakout rooms.
Sarinka?
Yes.
You need to wrap up in 1 minute, please, yeah? Thank you.
That's fine. No, that was me just wrapping up. I'm going back to my slide. So we've done, you're preparing your plan of action, what you're doing before, during, and after the contest. And I'm just going to show this, all this that I've been ranting about in a picture to give you a visual idea what we are talking about. I am better at seeing, oh, that's what they mean, instead of listening on and on and on. So all attendees are arriving in the waiting room. You as the Zoom master and co-host also do have the same right, are allowing people into the main room or the foyer where the contest is going to take place. Then you're creating at least, because you can create as many breakout rooms as you want, at least 2 breakout rooms, one for the judges and one for the contestants. And you can move people to the room. However, you can't move them back. So that's why we are having this training beforehand, a meetup, so we can make sure all role takers know how they're especially moving out of the breakout rooms back to the main room and they're not leaving the meeting. So I have this in writing as well, but I've already yabba about it. So you know what it is. It's the same thing as the picture. So to the Zoom masters, to master the virtual equation and make all the elements work together, you have to become the connector. That's my message to you, Zoom masters. Have fun.
Thank you very much, Sarinka. Thank you. Now, one of the things I'd like to do, I'm going to take some questions. I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen for the next 10, 15 minutes or so. What's going to happen is Sarinka and Garode and Chris are going to pick a few people from the audience. We're going to do a walkthrough of a table topic contest. Okay? So we're going to allocate a contest chair, a chief judge, a couple of contestants, and so on and so forth. In the meantime, while they're organizing that, what I'm going to do is we're going to have at least 10 minutes of questions. I do believe there are lots of questions in and around. But before I do that, one thing, let's recognize a few people in the room. Pauline McCabe, are you there? Please, okay, is she there, Pauline?
I am, Nick, sorry.
Hi, Pauline. Please recognize again one of our wonderful district chief judges at the D71 contest in May. Please give Pauline a big hand. Great job, Pauline. Thank you. And, you know, but there are lots of people around like Pauline. We've got Anthony Garvey, who may be popping in, hopefully before 4 o'clock. We've got other people who've been contest chairs and chief judges at the division finals, at the district finals. Use their skills, use the skills of the Zoom Academy. Now, one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to send you out by email, is links to the Zoom Academy, actual Zoom training. So what Sarinka was talking about moving people into breakout rooms and so on, you can actually learn that and practice that at a separate event. We've actually got some videos that we've actually run training sessions on, and we are going to run, I believe we are going to run a few more of those. So we will give you links on how to access that as well. In terms of other people in the room, we have District Director Gerard Mannix. We've got a Program Quality Director, Daniel Sanders. We've got Club Growth Director Brenda Lannon. We've got PR Manager Elizabeth Jordan. It's a nice big show, isn't it? Yeah, so welcome to everybody in the room. Now, what I'd like you to do is put your questions in the chat. I've got Pei Rong Chen is my president at Manchester Communicators. She's going to read out questions that you put in there. So whenever you're ready, Pei, please read out some questions or comments that have been put on, and I'll happily answer for the next 10 minutes while the table topic contest gets organized in the background.
Okay, thank you, Nick. I've got one question from Phil Cooper about any tips for managing multiple Zoom screens. So I think he's referring to the gallery view. So there could be maybe 3 or 4 screens.
Yeah, great question, Phil. In terms of basically what you have is, depending on your computer, you either have 25 or 49 windows that you can see at once in gallery view. Now, in terms of the contest, in terms of the area and the division and the district contests that we ran in the spring, we ended up just asking everybody to switch their videos off so they weren't distracting to the speakers, and we didn't lose the timers. Also, another reason, a really important reason for switching off videos, is that the actual Zoom room itself doesn't have any issues. Now, I'm not sure what the technicalities are behind that, but for me, in terms of logistics, it kind of worked. So we asked everybody to close their videos. In terms of managing all those people, the best way to manage them is, if you look at the participants window on your right-hand side there, if anybody unmutes themselves, they will appear on top of the list below the co-hosts that you have, and they will be instantly noticeable. So your Zoom master should be able to spot them quite easily. And this is one really, really important point. I talked about backups. In terms of Zoom masters, ideally you should have 2, one host and one co-host, and also a couple of other people who know what they're doing as co-hosts as well, to help you with crowd control, managing people who unmute themselves. If you want to, you could even stop everybody from unmuting themselves, apart from when you want them to. Okay, so it's up to you how you run your room. Please, Pei, next question.
Yes, Tanya's asking, what's the difference between a Zoom master and Sergeant at Arms?
A big difference. Zoom master is the person who creates and moves people into breakout rooms, who does the polling, who does all of the controls of this screen. In some clubs, I understand your question, Tanya, in some clubs, they've taken the Sergeant at Arms role and actually added the responsibilities for Zoom into there. That's fine, it's whatever it's called, and that person is a Zoom master. We call it Zoom because that is the piece of software that is used by online clubs all around the world, and also most of the clubs that have gone online in the last 6 months. But other flavors are available from Microsoft and Cisco and other companies. Hope that answers that question. Next question, please, Pei.
Yep. Who renames people? Is there a standard format?
Yeah, so really good question. One of the things that we would recommend is to actually renaming people. So for example, all the contestants, put a little plus in front of their name. For all the role players, put a little asterisk in front of the name. For a ballot counter, you can put, a little star, a little hyphen, or another symbol in front of their name, so that you can batch people together. So it's easy to see where people are on a participants list. Right now, we've got 80 people in the room. Can you see where everybody is? How are they organized? Well, they're in alphabetical order, really, apart from the co-hosts who are always at the top. And also, whoever has their microphone open, like Pei at the moment, she is at the top. She is at the top of the rest of you because she has a mic open. But if we, for example, we had the prefixes, then they would be bunched together. Okay. Usually the Zoom master does that when people come in, and they will actually rename them. How do we, Carol's asking, how do we do that? How do we change the names? You can go to somebody's window like this in gallery view, go to the 3 buttons on the top right hand corner, and then there's a rename, there'll be a rename button on there, but only if you're a host or a co-host. All right. Any more questions, Pei?
I think we've run out of questions, but I'm trying to backdate the other.
Okay. I think I saw a question from Binal about rulebook, multi-screen pins, new Zoom feature. Right. Okay. So first of all, about the rulebook, there is an official rulebook, as always has been from Toastmasters. Download the latest one, and in there, they will actually tell you, highlight what are the new rules. Now, one of the things that is a new rule, it is really, really important, is that when you're a speaker, you cannot do callbacks on previous contestant speeches. There's a very new feature, only just come out, but it is there now. And what that means is, if I'm the 4th table topic speaker, and I remember, if it's the humorous contest, for example, and I'm the 4th contestant in the humorous contest, previously, I could have taken something from the first 3 speeches, referred to it, and then added my own spin to it, and to use it as my own. Now, that is not possible. The other thing about the rule book is that make sure that your chief judge and a few people know it inside out. That's really important. Also have a look at the online exception. Again, we will send you links on where to download these documents from. Another thing Binal asked was about that there are some new features in Zoom. Like, for example, if you download the latest software for your computer or your laptop, you can move on gallery view, you can actually move people around, move the squares around. And that's literally only just come out in the last few days. And there are other features in there as well, which, by the time you do your contest, you may have tried yourself as well. But again, go to the Zoom Academy, look at their videos, ask them questions. We're here to help you. Any more questions, please, Pei? Did you find any more?
Nick, what is the consequence of a callback disqualification?
Yeah, it'll lead to a protest, which I believe the district, the chief judge will then declare a disqualification in that case. But please check the rules.
Okay.
Okay. I can't quote the paragraph that it's written on, but that's up to you, all of you chief judges out there. Go find it. Any more questions?
Yep. Is there a district chief judge appointed to train chief judges?
I don't know if they're appointed. I do believe there are a couple knocking around. Anthony Garvey is one of them. I don't know what they've got in store. Perhaps Daniel Sanders, would you care to take that? If Daniel's around, okay, maybe he's having a break. Well, we'll ask him. Yes, Daniel.
Yes, as Playground Quality Director, the district appoints 2 chief judges, one in Ireland, Anthony Garvey, one in the UK, Tina Norbury, and their role is to help support quality contests as well as supervise the judging at the district finals.
Okay, great. So the question was, are they going to be able to help chief judges in the clubs and then further into areas and divisions?
Yes, I hope so. They're early in the role and they're coming up to speed, but we would like, possibly as early as next weekend, to put out something to do exactly that, to help chief judges run quality contests. Okay.
Thanks very much, Daniel. Thank you. Pei, what other questions do we have?
It's relating Zoom again. How do you create 2 rooms? That is the waiting room and the main contest room. Do you need 2 different licenses or 2 different users?
Okay, brilliant question. Imagine it's basically When you came in today, you may have just came into the room. Whereas, because what I did was I switched off the waiting room when most of you were coming in. However, you may have attended Zoom meetings where you got the white screen and it says, please wait, somebody will let you in. And that is the waiting room. Now, the beauty of that is that you can, as a Zoom master, you can decide when to let people in. And also, if you're a little bit, iffy about what their name is on there, if it's, C3PO or R2D2, perhaps we need to think about who that person is. And you can even send them a message saying, please rename yourself and then try again to come in, right? So you want to keep out any undesirables, but also really important point about having a waiting room. What we did was we want judges in because they'll have their street names on there. Jane Blogs and Joe Blogs will come in, and we want them in. We want to rename them. If you decide to rename them in your contest, we would rename them and put them in a breakout room out of the way, because we don't want them bumping into any contestants when they come in. So that waiting room is really important. And again, that is something that you can practice with the Zoom Academy, with the training that we give. This room where we're in at the moment is the main room. Now, in a contest, we would call this a foyer, which is basically you come in here, you talk to me, I'm a Zoom master, and I know that you're a contestant. So therefore, I will help you rename yourself, and then I'm going to take you into a different breakout room so you can go with the other contestants and the contest chair and even a sergeant-at-arms if they're around, to go and test your video, your audio, and your lighting. In terms of the question about licensing, no, this is all part of the license that you have. You do not need to get any other license. This is all part of the functionality. Any more questions, Pei?
Yeah, someone asked, is there a limit? How many co-hosts should there be?
Right. This particular room is allowed to have 100 people in here. There is only ever one host, and I can have 99 co-hosts. Okay? Any other questions?
Yes, so someone's asked that when they logged in today, he saw his avatar was carrying someone else's name from his club. Do you know by chance what could have happened?
Yes, because you didn't register, you used somebody else's registration.
Perfect. Thanks, Nick. I think the last question I can see is, are there any rules about contestant speaking areas, certain sizes?
Yes, absolutely. Great question. I see that as well. Great question, Tanya. In terms of at club level, what people did at even an area level, for example, in the springtime, was to say, right, whatever we can see and however far you want to go back, that is your speaking area. That's fine. It's up to you. Go for it. When it came to division level, but especially at district level, I ran the District 91 contest. And what we had there was, we had to, and D71 as well, what we had to do was get the contestants to agree how far back is the speaking area. Is it 1 meter, like this? Is it 2 meters, like this? Or 3 meters further back? Or any other distance? And what we managed to do in both districts was to agree on 3 meters back from the camera, and therefore roughly 4 meters wide. But also, but on one of the contests, 2 of the contestants said, no, I want to be standing. And we ended up having 7 meters back from the camera and about 10, 12 meters wide. Now, you don't have to use all of that area. In the club contest, keep it simple, use the screen as far back as you want to go. When it gets to more, the further rounds, you will find that contestants will be asked to agree to a certain size of speaking area. Does that make sense? It's the distance you're back from the camera. Any more questions? Anybody else?
Sorry, I missed one question. It's about the co-host again. Can co-host assign people to breakout rooms?
No. And this is I mean, only the host can assign people to breakout rooms, and only the host can actually run the poll. There are two or three other things that only the host can do. So therefore, whoever is the host should be very comfortable and confident in their ability to run your meetings and your contests. Any more questions? Okay, so let me just ask Sarinka. Sarinka, are we good to run our table topic contest? Sarinka or Chris or Garode, can somebody give me a thumbs up?
Yes, we are good to go with our table topic contest. How do you run a poll is a last question in the chat. You have to set up the poll in the background on the meeting webpage. In the meeting, you need to add poll. You don't need to have the poll ready, steady, go in the meet when you're setting it up. You can, after you have set it up, always adjust it during the meeting. But if you have not set it up beforehand, you cannot add it on during the meeting. Hope that answers the question. And we are ready for the table topic session.
Thank you, Sarinka. Who am I handing over to, please, as the contest chair?
Our contest chair, Chris.
Okay. Chris, are you running the contest itself, or are you handing over to somebody else?
I'm handing over to Jenny Chambers if she's available.
Okay, Jenny, hopefully I saw her.
I'm here. I'm here.
Brilliant, Jenny. Great to see you. Now, let me just explain to everybody what's going to go on. This is not a rehearsal. This is a walkthrough, which means that at any given time, what I may do, what Chris may do, what Sarinka may do, what Garode may do, what Binal may do, is we may just intervene or interject and make a point about what's going on, or if necessary, to correct something, because we want to make sure that you understand the flow of this a particular contest. The idea is that we've got some role players, but anybody without a role right now, all of you who don't have a role, you are the judges. And so what's going to happen is at the end of the contest, after the last person has spoken, what Sarinka is going to do, because she's the Zoom master, or I believe she's Zoom master still, what she is going to do is she's going to move us all into the judges' room so we can continue with our with our unlimited time of deliberation, and then hand over our slip somehow to the chief judge. I want you to get the idea that you can go into a breakout room. That's a really important point. But what's going to happen is the table topics contestants with the Sergeant at Arms are going to be put into a breakout room, and then they'll be called one by one. I'm going to let the contest chair handle everything else. Can I please give a really warm welcome for our contest chair of the day for our table topic contest. Please welcome Jenny Chalmers.
Thank you, contest organizer. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and very welcome guests. Welcome to the Table Topics contest. Impromptu speaking, thinking on your feet is a very useful skill to have. And today we're going to have some fun and we're going to hear some wonderful speakers. I'd like to mention a few housekeeping rules to start with. Mobile phones off, please, or on silent. If you need to leave the contest, please turn off your video. No photographs until the contest is over. Chief Judge, have the officials been duly briefed? Chief Judge? Can you speak to me, please, Chief Judge?
Chief Judge is Damien Crowley.
Hi, yeah, sorry, yeah, Chief Judge here, Jenny. Yeah, all the judges have been briefed, Jenny. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I've briefed the contestants. So, are you all happy? Any protest by a contestant or a judge must be lodged with the Chief Judge or myself prior to the announcement of the winners at the end of the meeting. The speaking order of the contestants is so-and-so. I don't know who's going to be speaking. I shall play this blind. Each contestant will be asked to speak on the same topic. Lights will be green at 1 minute amber at 1 minute 30 seconds, and red at 2 minutes. And the red light will stay on until the contestant finishes speaking. A contestant will be disqualified if the speech is less than 1 minute or more than 2 minutes 30 seconds. The timing begins with the contestant's first definite communication. I will ask for 1 minute of silence after each speaker and at the end of the contest, as long as the judges need to complete their ballots. When the contestant comes forward, I will check their audio and video and check whether they've pinned the timer. Sergeant at Arms, will you please move all the contestants except the first one to the breakout room?
Thank you. This is where actually the Zoom Master comes in. The Zoom Master is going to move all the contestants along with the Sergeant at Arms to the breakout room. I'm just checking if I can share my screen. No, I can't. I'll stop the sharing. I was hoping to be able to share my Zoom screen to show you how we are moving people to the breakout room. However, Dinah has sent a link and we are running this training where you can come in and you are going to do it yourself. So please sign up and become part of the Zoom Academy, and just in a very safe environment, we are going to practice along. The rooms are now open. Contestants are going automatically to the Zoom room. In order to avoid any element of surprise, I've just picked 3 people at random: Sultan, Nikita, and Polomani. All contestants are in the breakout room. So I'm just going back to them. I'm going back and forth. You can carry on, contest chair.
Thank you. Is Tanya in the room?
Nope, I'm here. I didn't get anything pop up.
Can Tanya be moved back into the main contest room, please? Is Tanya being moved back into the contest room?
She is in the contest room, yes.
Are you in the break? Are you in the room now, Tanya?
I'm in this room with you guys, yeah.
I can see you and I can hear you. Have you pinned the timer?
Yes.
Tanya, what is your worst nightmare? What is your worst nightmare, Tanya?
Madam Table Topics Master, what is my worst nightmare? Everyone has the standard nightmares of ending up naked at school for some reason, flying and it not succeeding and just hitting your face on the floor, and also the lovely one about losing your teeth. Worst nightmare I had was actually about my mum. I've been embarrassed with this table topic, so she can be dragged into this as well. We were driving over a hill, because that's what you do, and she made me sit on a cliff next to her. And then when I fell, she grabbed my hand, as any mother would do, and then she had the most evil smile you can ever imagine. And she just stopped, smiled at me, and dropped me. And it was horrible, because the assumption is my mum would never do this in real life. It really stayed with me for absolute years that my mum would enjoy pushing me off a cliff and actively did so. All the other nightmares I've had of, I know, monsters and stuff have all come and gone, but that is my absolute worst nightmare. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Tanya. May I have 1 minute of silence for the judges to complete their ballots, please? Sergeant at Arms, can you move Nikita to the contest room, please?
We all return to the main room.
So Nikita is here.
Nikita,
Hello.
can you turn on your video and audio, please?
They are now on.
I can see you. Have you pinned the timer?
I haven't, but what I can tell you is that the order of the videos has changed whilst I've gone to the breakout room and come back, which is a surprise because I thought I'd arranged them all nicely.
So this is one of the reasons that Toastmasters International suggests to have all cameras off. So when the contestants comes in, he or she can see the timer and doesn't need to scroll through 70 people to find the timer.
So I found Liz and Patrick.
So you have the timer pinned?
I do.
Thank you. Nikita, what is your worst nightmare? What is your worst nightmare, Nikita?
My worst nightmare, well, funnily enough, as my children were growing up, they always wanted to go out for days out in places which I considered to be manifestations of hell on earth. And let me just show you one right now. If you can see my background, you may be filled with fear and trepidation because the experience which you're about to undergo is something that I have had to undergo purely to satisfy the whims of my children. What I'm talking about, of course, is the dreaded roller coaster. And there are probably no worse places to go than Alton Towers and Thorpe Park. And I'm afraid the mere thought of going on these rides again makes me ridiculously dizzy. And I just want to get off. But of course, you can't. You're trapped, you're fastened in. It is truly hell on earth until mercifully you're back at the start and are released from your seat. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Nikita. May I have 1 minute silence for the judges to fill in their ballots?
Fine.
Thank you. Is Paula in the contest room? Our third contestant? Can you turn on your video and your audio, please, Paula? Sorry, Paul. I misheard.
Contest chair, I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you. Have you pinned the timer?
I have, thank you.
Thank you. Paul, what is your worst nightmare? What is your worst nightmare, Paul?
On my way here to the contest today, I was in a terrible hurry because my young child spilled a whole bottle of wine all over my wife. Her white dress completely and utterly ruined. Contest chair, I was beside myself, but I was late. I drove here through 2 red traffic lights and I ran straight into a young man who was pushing a pushchair across the road. I smashed the 2 of them to the ground. I looked around. I saw there was no police nearby, so I kept on going. I went. I got to the next traffic lights and a little old lady was there standing in the middle looking confused. I went straight over her, completely bashed her to the ground. I kept on going. A little dog ran out in front of me, bashed. That was the end of the dog. I squashed 4 cats and then I ran straight into an elephant. Oh, contest chair. It was a nightmare. That's the worst nightmare I've ever had in my life. But I woke up and I'm here and I'm thrilled to see you. Thank you, contest chair.
Thank you, Paul. May I have silence now for the judges to complete their ballots and rank the contestants? I'd now like to hand back to our contest organiser, Nick.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Very well done. Just to let you know that Jenny and all the other participants only had a few minutes notice to actually go and take part. So very well done with that. One of the things that people are saying is, well, can't we tell, one of the questions was, can't we tell when the next person is in? We have to wait for 1 minute silence. And then I think it's fine for the contest chair to ask, Paul, are you there? And because that's an audio check as well, isn't it? So those kind of transitions, those kind of really nitty-gritty information or details can be ironed out in the practice run if you have before your contest. Okay, it's up to you how you run your contest. You can, as long as you follow the rules of Toastmasters, run the contest the way you wish and however you wish. But what we're saying is we can help you make it smoother and better and more better spectacle for the audience, but most especially much more fulfilling for the speakers and the role players as well. But well done, everybody. Please give them a big round of applause. For the sake of time, we were going to have various things like a mock announcement and so on. I think you get the idea though, right? You get the idea of what the different contests. And one of the key things that one of the contestants found was, where's the timer? That's exactly as Sarinka pointed out. That's another reason why we should have our cameras off. Okay. Also, one of the other things that I would do is not allow people's profile pictures to show, because some of them are very colored, like red or a yellow or a green, okay, which may be confusing. So think about those kind of things. Think about these things, run through it. You know, if you've ever done a driving test, did you practice before then? Think about it. That's brilliant. Thank you for that. Let me just share the results with you right now that we have. Now, one of the things that we ran this poll at the very start of the session, obviously, and what I'm really happy is that in terms of why do we run a contest, One of the items on there, it will help members outside Toastmasters in their work or business, is now at 61%. I think that that's moved up quite a lot. So I really wanted to make that point on there. So well done, everybody, on that. And also, one of the questions is, I want our club to be distinguished. Does running a contest make your club distinguished? Hands up, yes or no? If you think it does, well, it's part of the whole package about the club experience, isn't it? That you run regular contests, you run great meetings and so on. So in a way, it is part of the moments of truth. Okay, you can't quantify it as a point, but that's from a qualitative point of view, running contests, running great meetings and so on is part of the experience that all clubs should have. So in a way, I believe it does. But anyway, that's a point to argue over. Second question, what does a content organizer do? Appoint those members? Yes, absolutely. But also near the end, publicize events, set the date and time, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Contest chair, brief the contestants. Yes, absolutely. Notice on here that, for example, pause the contest in case of a contestant having audio problems. The contest chair does not do that. It's the chief judge. Please remember that. In terms of what the chief judge does, yes, absolutely, briefs the judges, maintains the integrity of the contest, etc. And 73% of you got pause the contest in case of audio problems. Well done, thank you for that. Zoom Master, yeah, pretty straightforward on there. None of the above. Okay, well, Zoom Master can can help with a certain number of things on there, but yeah, I think that the Zoom Master can be helping to be the glue that maintains the integrity of the contest as well. Okay, so let's stop the sharing on there. As I said, I just got a couple of points, and I'm going to come to Pauline and Anthony. A couple of points that came up in the chat was that, yes, the chat is normally off when we're competing. In terms of the backgrounds, it's recommended you do not have virtual backgrounds at the contest. There's no rule against it. However, locally in your clubs, you can make a decision yourself. Okay, so that's up to you. I would go for that. In terms of the actual technicalities of it, I do believe that the background has an impact on your own machine, which may cause you a problem with your connection to Zoom, to the internet. But it doesn't cause anybody else a problem. In terms of the Zoom, in terms of the cameras coming into the Zoom room, lots and lots of cameras can impact upon that, and hence most of the time we ask in contests that the cameras be closed. Right, so before I take questions, I'm going to call to the stand a couple of people who took part in the district finals. Pauline, are you there?
Hi, Nick, I'm here.
I can see you and I can hear you. Please give a very good hand, very big hand for District Chief Judge, Pauline McCabe. So, Pauline, what were your experiences like? What can you share with us today?
Right, well, one of the biggest challenges of being a chief judge, and probably a judge at any level online, was getting the judges to submit their judges' eligibility form, because you could WhatsApp them or email them the forms, but getting them back, some judges, you just had to keep chasing them, right up to a few minutes before the contest. So I would say, if you're asked to judge, to get that form back to the chief judge ASAP. It's very important that you're not having the chief judge pulling their hair out. That's very important. Another thing is, when you're asking the judges to submit the results, you've got to work with the judges. So give them a choice, I think, of doing it via email or doing it via WhatsApp. Don't say, I only want them by email, because not everybody has printers and scanners. So you've got to work with the judges. Another very important thing as chief judge is to work with, to confer with your contest chair and the Zoom master, because they might have an idea of something and you might have an idea of something. So just go through things with them before the contest, I think is important. That way there can be no hiccups. And I found it a bit scary having that power, let's just say, to pause the contest in case there was an audio. It was like, oh, this is really scary. And you're watching every speech. And as every speech was over, you were taking a deep breath saying, oh, that went well. So I just found that a little bit daunting. But when it's the first time you do something like that, it can be daunting. But overall, yes, it was challenging, but a very positive experience in the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pauline. Thank you. You know, we had some amazing people work in those district finals, and very much so yourself, one of them. We already heard from Garode earlier. Let's hear from another one. Please welcome, all the way from sunny Tralee, with a fantastic new look. The hairdressers are working now, right, Anthony? And a new shirt as well. Please give a very warm hand for contest chair in the district finals. I'm not going to say, you know, whether he was the best or not the best. Well, maybe he might have been. Please welcome Anthony Garvey.
Thank you very much indeed, Nick. Lovely to be with you. As you can see from my garb, my get-up, it's soccer trials here in North Kerry today. So we had 20 kids running around the place. So I've come hot-footed it straight to you immediately after that. It was a fantastic experience being contest chair. Really enjoyed it. What you are looking for really if you're appointing someone is that they have a bit of personality. Try not to get carried away here with being too big-headed about my stuff, but you really want the contestants at the start of the show. So you need that blend of personality and yet humility. So they're the stars. It's not about you. It's not a forum for you to showcase your talent. You've got to try and put the contestants at their ease. And a lot of them are pacing up and down, even virtually, wondering how are they going to cope, or their presentation's going to come across naturally. So to try and relax them, and a bit like a good referee at a football match, that's someone who's unseen. You don't see them interfere. They let the game run. That's how you know when someone has a good job. And if I could say, looking at the pictures on screen here, there are people like Nick, like Garode, like Dinah, like Pauline. I mean, I could go on and on, who ably support you. So while you're chatting away, there are messages coming on screen on the chat facility. There are other messages coming in on your mobile phone that you need to be able to juggle and respond to while in real time. And yet, still outwardly, you've got to give the appearance of calm. If people tell you the results won't be there for another 10 minutes, you've got to find 10 minutes in which to chat, in which to keep going and engage with the people that you have. So that's the magic of it. You're like a presenter on a TV show, and now that we've gone virtual, it makes it even more interesting. It's a refreshing dynamic to work with. So that's what I would recommend for this year. If you're appointing contest chairs, I would say match someone up with the particular contest. Have someone with a bit of gravitas do the inspirational contest, and maybe someone who's a bit more lighthearted be the MC for the humorous speech contest. That kind of way. So that would be my contribution. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you. Let me just echo that sentiment about the relative points about the contest chair and the chief judge. What I've said is, and Anthony, you said it perfectly. You're the host, you're the face of the show. You no matter what happens, you keep that smile on and you keep it going. Half an hour more for the results. Great, what are we going to do now? You're thinking, but you're thinking on your feet and you're going into something else. You can actually carry on doing some in-depth interviews, or you have to be quick and think on your feet. But as Anthony said, don't take yourself too seriously. It's all about the contestants. and also then the audience about what they see and hear as well. So well done with that, Anthony. In terms of what Pauline said about the responsibility with being chief judge, and you've got the responsibility of saying, stop, we cannot hear you. Wow. Now, that's something that is, I've done it once. It's pretty tough. It is pretty tough. But somebody's got to do it. If you can't hear them, they don't know you. We can't hear them. You've got to stop them, tell them. And that's the point. You need somebody decisive and somebody who knows what the plan is and then goes with it. Absolutely. Well done to you. Now, we've done the poll, we've done various things on here today. I hope you've enjoyed the session. I'd please give a big round of applause to Chris Collins, Sarinka Jenga, Binal Sovjani, and also Garode Murphy. Thank you very much for attending today. Thank you all. What we're going to do is, after the recording ends in a few seconds, we will carry on and have more discussions I'll be around for at least half an hour. So if you have any questions, please stay on and hang on. With that, thank you very much for attending today's session. It's been a pleasure to be with you today. We've had over 80 to 90 people attend. So happy with that. Please run your contests, run them fairly, run them on time, but most of all, have fun doing it. Thank you very much and good night.